fantasy city guards. So what they do in the collaborative building is there are two sort of sets of ideas, and one of those is issues, okay, and the other is faces. So when you're sitting around the table with players, you're setting up those issues. We first set what's the current issue. So we're going to set what's the issue facing the situation. We know we've got a fantasy city guards. So what long-standing problem, what big problem are people in that setting facing right now? So you would throw it to a player. So Alex, I'm going to throw this to you. This is the current issue. What's the big problem right now?
How about something to do with hunger? Maybe there's bounty and there's plentifulness, but for some reason we're still lacking food for some reason. Maybe someone's stealing it, or trading cards aren't making it to market or something. Okay, so
vanishing and shortage of food. All right, so we set that as the main issue for the campaign. That's the one, at least for right now when we start out, that we're going to be considering. Players would set that, and now you can scale that as, for the first one shot, or for a longer term arc, however you want to do that. Then we look at what's called the impending issue, and the impending issue is essentially what part of that current issue, the shortage of food, what part of that threatens to ruin this setting if nothing's done? What are the possible consequences for that, the impending issue, if that food thing isn't taken care of? So I'm going to throw that to you, John.
The impending issue is going to be so the main issue was that we're having food shortages.
Yes, that the food is vanishing.
Okay, food is vanishing.
Yeah, what's the possible implications if nothing is done about that? What's the possible implications for the setting?
There's economic issues because we're an agricultural society, and our main market export for this area is grains and food and things.
Okay. So crashing of the city's economy. Okay. All right. So we've got that as the current and then the impending issue. The next thing that you would do is you would come up with faces, and faces essentially are NPCs. So we're going to come back here to that current issue, and again, at the table, players, you kind of do a go around with these things. You might do another impending issue. But Alex, describe a character, a main character who is involved with that current issue. Who's a powerful person with a stake in that?
A female named Alyssa is maybe not a noble, but even though she's not a noble, she does have a lot of influence in the community or the area, or whatever this play area is.
Okay.
And she was born into a wealthy merchant family, and maybe that family is part of this issue.
Okay, that they're particularly hard hit and that they're heavily tied to that. Okay, I like that. And then, John, why don't you give me, we're going to look at the current issue. So that problem there about the crashing of the city economy, give me an NPC who would benefit from that?
Um, there's a man named Rodrigo who is the head of the cartels.
Okay.
By controlling the supply, obviously he would have greater economic influence and could take control.
Okay. So he's trying to push out Alyssa's family, the other families, trying to shift that through shortage. And then, so I'm going to put another character on the table then, someone who is essentially trying to change it, essentially that there is a local magistrate named Lankar, and Lankar is desperately trying to figure things out about this and trying to solve the problem. So we've got some characters on the table, we've got some issues. At that point, we're going to go to character creation. Now, have either of you done fake character creation before?
No.
Okay. Alex, no?
I've read the first half of Fate Core, a large part of Accelerated, so I kind of know the bits and pieces of it, but it's the actual
I've read it.
experience.
Yeah. And I will tell you, just to say this, when I went to read Fate, I did not get it the first couple of times. So I say this as a person who it took me a long time to kind of grok how that actually played out. So I'm going to try. You probably have a better idea because Fate Core is better written than some of the early versions that I was going from. I'm going to share a document to kind of illustrate some of the things, and this is echoing the stuff you guys have already read, but I'm going to use it as kind of a framework here.
Sounds good.
Okay, and did that go up there? Okay, so there's a Google Doc that you can pull up.
Got it.
Fate junk. Nice.
Fate junk, yep. So, for me, the best thing about Fate is the idea of aspects. Is that concept of aspects and how they work and how they play out. It's the element that I really like. And as you see, as you look through, aspects are descriptive characteristics, and they're actually used for mechanical game effect. And they can be on characters, they can be environments, can be objects, can be organizations, they can be on scenes. I've got some examples there. They do two things for us. One is when you're a GM, they give you great, easy shorthand for writing things out very quickly. And two, they give players a good thing to interact with, a good hook to play off of. So we start with the character building around those descriptors. And so what you're going to do is you're going to come up with a character high concept. And the high concept should be a fairly positive thing. It can be a little double-edged, but it should be a descriptor of what your character is about.
Upstairs?
The good sort of one-sentence description of them. So,
I'll be right back.
Sure, absolutely. Write things down here. Piece of paper.
And the concept is we're city guard members, right?
Yep. And you could be any kind of city guard members, you know, adventurers turned city guards, you know, 3 days from retirement city guard. Our group is, the 6 players we have for the game that we do of this is pretty diverse. So, high concept will be that kind of descriptor, and you can play off of classic sort of roles or come up with something else. So, either of you have a high concept you want to throw out for this buddy cop adventure?
Maybe I can play kind of the in real life the fate noob and throw something out that can be improved upon. Like I have an idea for I just want to play like a rookie, for example.
Okay.
Just simply saying rookie is your high concept is probably too not. So
yeah, absolutely. And actually, rookie might be more usable as some version of your trouble aspect. That's a good, an interesting one because it illustrates some potential troubles that you might want to play out at the table, so we might save that for that.
Okay.
That'd be what at the table I would say to a player. Do you imagine your character as a classic warrior, as someone who's come up through the nobility, as a wizard? What are you thinking?
Let's go with wizard then.
Okay. How do you want to describe your wizard?
He is new to the craft.
Okay.
Nothing of it came naturally, but he knows magic exists in the world and wanted to be a part of it. And so he's a little clumsy with it, but
okay. So
stuff that seems pretty cool.
I like the high concept that you said doesn't come naturally to him, so he had to study hard. So maybe like hardworking or something like that, wizard. So and we can always, one of the things that I say to players is all of these can get tweaked. So if we start with hardworking wizard as a concept, we can always play around with it. Okay. John, what are you thinking?
I don't know. I was thinking something like pit fighter turned city guard.
Okay.
Or gladiator. Something.
All right. Sure. A classic one would be like veteran of the arena. Would be a good high concept. It's like something like that.
Sure. Yeah. Sounds good.
And if we look at that, these are pretty broad statements. They're going to be useful in a lot of areas. They might not be in other places. They've got some interesting twists on them, talking about some limitations there. The next thing we're going to do is the trouble aspect. And the trouble aspect is the thing that gets your character in trouble. And that's pretty easy. One of the things I try to tell people at when we play is the most important thing about the trouble aspect is you choose something that you actually want to have happen at the table. Stories that you're kind of interested in. I've seen players take approaches as a disadvantage and then take that and then get themselves very limited kind of trouble aspects that they might not actually enjoy playing out at the table. Alex, are you happy with rookie as your trouble aspect, or do you want to add on to that?
How about notorious rookie?
Okay. Notorious rookie. Word has already spread that you were an easy mark within the department and outside. That seems reasonable. John, what about you? What do you think should be your character's trouble aspect?
Thinking something like old debts.
Okay. So you would, and we. Okay.
What were you saying?
Oh well, we could turn that around to make it more of a kind of a statement, like I owe money to everyone, or something like that, or old debts come back to haunt me.
Yeah. I owe money to everyone. That sounds good.
Okay. And I should also say that I'm being a little more GM intrusive than I might be at the table, just because we're kind of working through this, and so I am kind of pulling back the curtain on my thinking about this.
That's fine.
Now, the next step they do is what at the table we call the phase trio, and in the phase trio, essentially each character comes up with a little story about themselves, and then the others add on to it in a couple of stages. If you look around, there are a number of other different approaches that people have done to the phase trio to kind of make them fit with different settings and things that are interesting, that are worth looking at, and you can easily shape them to the campaign. We're going to start with the real basic one. Each of you needs to think of a little vignette, a little story about your character that maybe shows us something about them. And essentially, it's kind of a little statement. What was the problem? Something bad happened. What did you do about it? That kind of thing. Or who stood against you? Describe something like that. Just almost an anecdote. And at the table, we'd use index cards. Write it down because it gets passed around. So either of you have a little anecdote about your character?
Sure. Several years back, I was in a museum close by, which is kind of cool because this part of the world, we barely have enough money for stuff, but somehow we've got a museum. And when I was in there, somebody was trying to steal something, and I was conflicted about whether to help the person or to call the guards, because I wasn't sure what was going on. And I guess at the very end of it, this whole thing, it turns out that this criminal was more of turned out to be a mentor to me at some point. And maybe this person was not really stealing from the museum. Maybe the person was actually trying to replace something that had been taken away. And that was my first. It was my first. The first time that I saw magic at work, and that's what really got me onto this path in the first place. The person was probably using magic to replace the item into the museum.
All right. So let's think about the things that we can pull out from that anecdote as an aspect for you. We could talk about what you just kind of mentioned about observation, that there is something about your character that he does spot things, that he is observant. We could also talk about something where your character doesn't make hasty decisions, that he does consider all sides of the problem, or something about making friends, that you are able to find people and contacts that way. Any of that kind of sound interesting to you?
Yeah, about something like nothing goes over my head.
Okay. Nothing goes over my head. All right. So we're going to set that as one of your additional aspects. And John, what about you?
Jeez. Well, let's see. So, man, I'm never good on the spot. I apologize.
Oh, I know. It's the trouble with these things. So just think of a recent thing that maybe your character was involved in that maybe shows us something about how he acts.
Sure. Just recently, I I found out that there was a um, yeah, just recently I found out that there was actually an illegal gambling ring going on in a an inn in town, and yeah, I had actually known about it for quite a while, but I had happened to they were finally coming and asking for the money, so I snitched on them and reported them to the police, to the city guard, and we broke in and actually got in trouble because the mayor's kid was there.
Okay. All right. So let's think about what we can pull out from that.
No idea.
Well, so one of them is essentially that strong sense of self-preservation, to put it nicely, or how do I put this? Contacts in the underworld would be another one, because it illustrated your involvement with the gambling. Or we could illustrate that you actually got the mayor's kid off, and maybe there's a favor owed to you from the nobility. There are a couple of different things that you could play with that. Anything interesting or another version?
Yeah, I was figuring with the mayor's kid. Actually, I got in trouble because of that and got stuck with this horrible rookie for a new partner.
Okay. So what do you want to take away positive from that? That kind of tells about your character.
Sure, I like the strong sense of self-preservation.
Okay. Strong sense
of
self-preservation. And see, that's a good one. Has a nice ring to it. Plus, it's double-edged. Can be used for you and against you, and that's kind of what you want. So the next thing that we're going to do is essentially you're going to pass it to the other person, and you're going to talk about how you crossed paths with that incident or that people, and it can be at that immediate time or after, and either how you complicated the situation or how you helped solve it. And it can be directly or indirectly, or complicated and help solved it. So some kind of variation on that. So Alex, what do you think?
Let's see. How about can you still hear me? I changed microphones.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe the family in general is notorious in the area for being I don't know, shady-ish.
Okay.
And so I had always been in my youth, I thought I might be some kind of an investigative reporter kind of thing. So I've always been shadowing the mayor's family.
And so you were present when the whole thing went down? Okay.
Right.
All right. So you were there. You saw what went on, and what did you do?
Can you remind me what the crux of the moment was?
So there was an illegal gambling parlor that this mayor's kid was involved in. And illegal in a fantasy city means that they must have been doing things particularly nasty, betting on people's lives or things like that, that kind of thing, if it was black market, So it was involved with that. And then this group of cops came kicking in the door, including this retired pit fighter guy, and they rounded everybody up, and you know that they are going to get in trouble, of course, because of the mayor's kid there. So what was your take on it? Is this when you decided to become a cop, or were you already, or what do you think?
Was this in more recent times?
Yeah, well, this is
Had you already tied me into this story, John?
Mm,
Did you have in mind that I was one of those people?
no, I didn't have that in
Okay.
mind.
Okay.
But
So maybe I was
want to,
just
yeah.
in recent times. Maybe I was there to actually partake in the betting. Like I want to uncover this to actually become part of the ring or something like that. So I was there, and
To
maybe
infiltrate or to actually become?
to actually do bad deeds, like to actually
Okay.
do some betting myself. So
All
maybe I
right.
was on the other side of the law this time.
Okay. Um, and what do you want to draw from that? Do you want to draw that you have experience with the underside,
Yeah.
or
I maybe something to draw from this is that the world isn't black and white, and that good and bad aren't always what you think they are.
okay?
Like maybe the
So
mayor's kid was there, and maybe it turns out in my investigating he's not such a bad kid as the reputation for the family is, and so maybe I helped him. Maybe I realized that he's not bad, and he was just caught in the wrong place at the time. I was actually at odds with pit fighter and crew.
okay. So maybe something that describes the fact that you can see both sides. Uh, like, we go back to maybe not quick to judgment, or knows both sides of the tracks, or
Two
something
sides
like.
to every coin.
Okay. See, the problem with two sides to every coin is it's a pretty abstract phrase. So we need to think about, okay, where would that kind of come into play? We need to make that a little more concrete.
I don't always do the obvious thing. Maybe
Okay.
not quick to judgment, or I don't.
everyone
Maybe,
deserves a second chance, or
yeah.
Okay.
not as innocent as he looks.
No, as it looks, or uh,
Tries to see both sides of every story.
okay. So something that tries to see. Okay. Tries to see both sides of every story.
I could see getting compelled on it, but why would I ever call on that?
Yeah. So this is another one where you could kind of flip it to make it a reputation, actually, a reputation for even-handedness that you could use. That's something that you could certainly use in social situations and things. Maybe something like that.
Okay.
And we can always modify that with any of these aspects, but we'll say known for even-handedness.
Okay.
Okay. And then we come to you, John. We have the story about
The
our
museum.
wizard and the museum and the crime there, and the mentor that he picked up. How do you want to be connected to that? How did you complicate or solve, or cross paths on that adventure?
I want to say I was, actually there just to look at the artwork.
Okay.
It's, so I happened to be in the same situation. Um, and what would that say?
Now, when the whole sort of crime thing went down and those people took off, did you scamper as well, or were you involved in any of the aftermath of that?
Um, from I thought it wasn't actually a crime thing. Was a crime thing, or
He used magic to kind of swap out items, return an item. There probably would have been some guard follow up after that, since there was kind of some disturbance that went on.
mm-hmm.
Or do you want to focus on the fact that you're a pit fighter going to museums?
Yeah, that's more what I was thinking. Just
Softer side of the gladiator, or something like that, or surprisingly cultured.
surprisingly cultured.
Okay.
Well, how would there be what would the negative side of that be?
So let us say that if you're surprisingly cultured, that's one of those things where, let's say I were to threaten a piece of art or something like that.
Okay.
You might desperately want to save it rather than going after the bad guy, that kind of thing.
Okay, yeah.
All right, so we've got, then everybody has high concept, you've got a trouble aspect, then you have 2 standard aspects, okay? In a standard game, we'd end up with 3, so it'd be 5 total aspects. So now I'm going to ask you guys, before we go on any further, I need a name for each of you.
About, for me, Larold.
Larold. Okay. And John?
I don't. How about Ajax?
Ajax. All right. So for Larold, we have high concept, hardworking wizard. Trouble aspect is notorious rookie. We have 2 additional aspects, nothing goes over my head, and known for even-handedness. For Ajax, we have veteran of the arena as the high concept. We've got I owe money to everyone as the trouble aspect. We have strong sense of self-preservation, and we have surprisingly cultured. So we've got a good set of aspects. We've got that, a good sense of what the characters are like. And we'll as we'll see in play, again, aspects on your own character or on things around you can get invoked. And in invocation, one thing that's sort of generally used is to establish a scene detail. The more mechanical effect is, after you've rolled, you can invoke an aspect to re-roll the dice if you're not happy with the results, or give yourself a +2. And you can do that. You can't use the same aspect again and again, but you can use different ones. And those invocations cost a fate point. And that'll be the currency. That's what you use trouble aspects to kind of regenerate those during play, what they call the economy. So I'm going to actually pull up Roll20 now, because we've got little character sheets in there. It's not the best possible thing, but it does work pretty decently. Okay. So you'll see this pop up here. And let me load that. Now, if you guys know Roll20, you'll definitely want to make sure you go over on the far right-hand top corner. There's a little gear wheel for settings. you'll want to hit that and scroll down to player avatar size, and it'll say names only, and you want to choose that.
Okay.
Because that'll eliminate a lot of the screen take up for things. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give each of you guys a character for a journal here. And I'm going to write this. Alex, how do we spell your character's name?
Lerald.
Lerald. Okay. Save changes. Okay. And then Ajax. Okay, so off to the side, if you click on the third settings tab, you'll see journals on Roll20. And then you can actually click and open up the character sheet there.
Okay.
Okay.
Got it. Is
So,
that where, okay, it's the second tab, character sheet.
Yeah, so on the first tab, Bio and Info, I put links to all of the skills. I'm just using the generic skill list from Fate. I found when I play, that's one of the easiest things to tweak, is going, okay, we're doing a game that has a little more crunch, so I'm going to break fight down into melee and hand-to-hand. I'm going to play with unarmed, maybe that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. That's the one place where you can tweak those, and it gives you some things to really make the game feel. Atomic Robo, for example, breaks things into different modes, and it reduces the skill list to make it really very focused. The links that are there actually will take you to the Fate SRD page if you click on a particular skill link there, and that'll take you to the skill, and also if you look there, it gives the description of the skill, and it gives the stunts that are associated with it. So a couple of the skills that are kind of wonky that are a little bit different than in other games. Rapport is a skill about making yourself liked and trusted. It's the diplomacy skill. It's the nice talking skill of this game. Whereas deceive covers all kinds of lying and fast talk and trying to fool people, misdirection of all kinds. These are all very general. Provoke is the aggressive social skill. It's a presence attack. If you were talking champions, it's the what's the I can't remember what the D&D version of this is. It's an aggressive feint, aggressive bluff on people, causing them to feel emotions. So it's kind of the attack skill with social stuff.
Intimidate?
Intimidate also can work with that. Essentially, whatever emotional state you're trying to get someone to feel. Now, let me talk about one of the logics of Fate that you'll want to consider if you go to run. Fate does keep this categories kind of tight. So one of the things you want to consider if you go to run Fate is how loose you want to do. Whether Provoke is the only way to do Intimidate, or if people can do Intimidate with a different skill, like Fight or something like that. Because that'll kind of change up how some of the stunts work if you do that. Some stunts allow you to use a skill for a different kind of activity. But we'll come back to that. In any case, resources, of course, the money, you use that for wealth and things. And let me see, the other one I want to mention, contacts covers streetwise, knowing people, all kinds of connections and networking, and empathy is essentially human perception. It's the emotional social notice skill. So for your characters here, if you go to character sheet, you can type in your aspects there. But more importantly, you can put your skills into the skill pyramid. So as you can see, the skill pyramid has certain boxes grayed out and certain boxes that are cleared. You're going to get 1 great skill. You're going to get 2 good skills, the +3. You're going to get 3 fair skills, the +2. And you're going to get 4 skills at +1. Now, let me talk to Larold about magic. You're going to take one of your skills is going to be called magic.
Okay.
Okay. So you'll pick it as an additional skill. We're going to do this quick and dirty, and if you see the Google Doc, the very last section, I talk about that. One of the things that took me a bit to get used to in Fate is that essentially every skill use falls into 4 categories. The biggest and most generic is, of course, overcome. You use overcome when you're climbing a wall with athletics. You use overcome when you're trying to solve a problem with crafts, like trying to disarm a bomb or whatever. You use overcome when you're investigating and trying to find out information. There's an obstacle that's going on there that you're trying to overcome. The next kind of skill use is create an advantage. And create an advantage means that you are attempting to either cause or discover something on somebody else. So, for example, in combat, you might use your fight to unbalance someone in combat, to put that aspect on them that they're unbalanced. Essentially, it's causing a status effect. You create some skills can be used to their create advantage. When you make a successful create an advantage roll, you create something that can be freely invoked once. If you roll really well, it can be freely invoked twice. So essentially, it's like creating a fate point for a particular thing. Now, creating advantage is actually one of the most potent things that you can do when you're playing Fate, because you can do it to set up social skills, like going and working a crowd. You can do it to establish facts about the environment, all of that kind of stuff. The last 2 things that skills can do are attack, meaning actually attack to cause a damage effect, and defend to resist damage or resist someone trying to create an advantage on you or resist, overcoming you. So those are the 4 things that skills that do. Now, Alex, for magic, what I'll have you do is you'll kind of describe what kind of magic you want. So do you want illusion magic? Do you want electrical? Do you want fire? Whatever. You can pick up to 3 of those types, up to 3 of the sort of things that magic can do. If you do that, then you get to choose 2 of the modes that those can be used for. Like, okay, well, my magic can be used to attack, and it can be used to defend. It's purely sort of combat magic. Or my magic can be used to do something to other people to create advantages, or maybe I want to use it for utility, to do an overcome action. If you want your magic to do more things, you can have it do 3 modes, and you'll get 2 kinds of magic, or all 4 modes, and you have to choose 1 kind of magic. This is a quick and dirty version. There are a couple of different forms of magic, particularly in the toolkit. Now, I'm looking here at Ajax, and Ajax has taken a good in physique. That gives you extra wound stress boxes. I'm going to kind of click those.
Oh, okay.
And you took an average in will, and you actually get 3 of those. And World. I will let you pick out your stuff there, Larold.
Talk about illusions. I guess just keep it simple. I'll go with what you first said, which was
Okay.
a couple things, and then each one of them will have, I think you said 2 stunts?
Each one of them can have 2 modes they can be used for. Yeah.
Okay. So how about illusion? I think like a darkness thing would fall under that same category.
You could certainly do something like that.
I'll just write some notes so we kind of have an idea.
Sure. And one of the things you can always do with Fate is you can have people pick things on the fly. For example, you guys, so magic is one of your stunts. You get a total of 3 stunts. You don't have to pick them right now, but if you go and look at the various skills, you'll see that they have the stunts written under them. So as we're playing, if at any point you see, oh, I want to have this stunt, you can write it in now, or you can call it out later.
That's a good idea. Just save it for later. As the story unfolds, it might be more obvious.
Now, let me see what the... Just make a couple of notes here.
I see. So here's darkness.
Would you suggest leaving something open?
In terms of stunts?
Yeah, or anything.
That's entirely up to you. Picking them on the fly is fine. On the other hand, you might forget that you can call them and end up not taking the stunts. I've certainly done that before when we do on-the-fly things where I forget that I can have access to that.
Overcome and create advantage seem like the 2 obvious ones for illusion.
Okay.
Obvious attack. Defend, maybe like a fire shield or something.
Mm-hmm.
Then how about ice?
Okay.
Left,
Ice is good for creating advantage. Got all kinds of things you can do there for status effects.
and I guess attack, I guess.
Backup weapon, that's a good one. And of course, one of the things you'll see when you look at the stunt lists is that they are pretty narrow, and that's actually one of the pleasures is kind of coming up with new stuff. And of course, some of the various, like the accelerated versions, they have a couple of formulas for doing that are pretty simple.
Yeah, Fate Accelerated is mostly like +2 when this happens, isn't it?
Yep. I think there are 2 different formulas that it defines it by. And of course, as you'll discover, you just don't have enough skill points at the start. For example, I look at Ajax and I go, "Where's Ajax's stealth? Oh, he didn't take any."
Is this fate sheet part of any Roll20 thing, or did you upload it yourself?
It is actually it's one of the built-in character sheets in Roll20. It's not superb, but it's useful.
Yeah, for sure. Right. Yeah, the aspects are the big kind of emotional hurdle when you're reading the book
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and trying to figure out how that's going to happen at the table. And if you're going to be running a game, you're unsure of yourself because you can't even come up with your own aspects. How can you help other people figure out what's a good, what's a bad aspect?
Yeah, it takes a bit and to figure out that. I mean, the traps I've seen people fall into is things that don't have a downside, or being really too vague about that, so it becomes harder to use. And at the table as a GM, you'll find yourself uh, being willing to go, well, yeah, I don't know if that actually applies in the situation. Do you have another aspect that you can use?
Yeah.
And kind of pushing that economy. All right, so I'm going to click. You're going to have a 1 and a 2 stress box there, Laurel, and you're going to have a 1, a 2, and a 3 mental stress box because you've got will in the fair thing.
Okay.
All right. So you guys have your yes.
So he has will as fair, and he has 3. I have will as average. I also have 3.
Yep.
There.
Fair and average on will get you an additional box.
Uh-huh.
Anything above that gets you
2.
essentially 3 or 4 get you 2 boxes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, are there any questions before we kind of get rolling here?
What that third stress track?
So the third stress track they have on there is sometimes people in Fate games will do like a social one, so that you actually have stress for your reputation or your wealth, or membership in a company, and then you can do attacks on that. For example, I ran a game that was kind of school-based, and that was a significant part of it, is attacking people on that axis. So let's take a bio break, take like 2 minutes, 5 minutes, any beverage or bio, and then I'll kind of run through so we get a chance to see how this works out in play. Does that seem reasonable?
Sounds good.
Sure.
Okay. All right.
A good amount of people to play. Recommended.
I would say that 3 is about the minimum, because then you do the nice face tree and people can play off of each other.
Mm.
So the homebrew that we play with, which uses a lot of Fate stuff in it, we play. Most of the groups are 4 or 5 or even 6 players.
Hmm.
It's actually one of the nice things about things that are using Fate is combats go pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
Such that I don't feel the lag that I would with a crunchier system with 6 players.
Mm-hmm.
So it is pretty accommodating on that score.
Yeah, 6 players. Be like a combat all night.
Yeah. No, we can get combat done in 45 minutes, even a big one, in our thing. So what do you usually play, Alex?
Since I joined Geek, I have played probably the most is the Apocalypse World stuff.
Oh,
Like
really?
Shama's Apocalypse World itself. Then I got on a kick that I really wanted to play some dungeon crawls, so I did Dungeon Crawl Classics for a little bit. And now I'm coming back around to story games and games where equipment and stuff don't appear to be very
Right.
they're quite abstracted in this system, it seems, which is
Oh, yeah.
good because I remember back in D20 Modern there was a player who was asking me why is like 9mm and 45 caliber the exact same stat line, and in a story game like this, you can have them be more different in its description and stuff. Whereas when you're playing a game where there's actually a stat line for both of them, and they're both the same, then you're kind of stuck with. You're gonna end up having to describe something different anyways between the two things, but the stats don't really reflect anything.
Yeah, one of the things I like is you can actually set the granularity in Fate depending on how you want to do it. I see some of the various Fate World people will tune how that is. Actually, one of the most interesting thing is J-Punk has some very interesting systems for Fate on how to build sort of equipment and extras. Very quick and lean, but some nice ways to play with that. So we're going to take up with you two, Ajax. It's been, what, how long have you had Larold as your partner?
Probably about a month now.
Okay. So he's well known as being a rookie.
Yes.
When he goes out on the street, everything looks kind of, his uniform is still squeaky clean, the badges and things. All the people that would take advantage of a new cop have circled like vultures. And Larold, Ajax is not perhaps the model police officer that you wanted to be put with. And while you have some contacts an experience there on the darker side, he looks like he pretty much lives there. That's your sense of things. So you guys will be called in. We can assume that the city guard have the standard guard, and then they have specialists, people that carry things out, the equivalent of detectives, and that's what you two are. And you're Sergeant Adara, old woman, wrinkled face, been on the guard as long as anyone can remember, and despite that, shocking, still bright red hair, and a smoker's voice that goes through when she talks to you. And she will call you in and she will say, "Look, we've got a problem. We've got a situation that I need you two to look into with some discretion." Is that discretion you can do, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, Mom.
So rumors are already starting to get out, but they're still just rumors. People have kept a lid on it, but we've had several grain warehouses knocked over. Uh, all the goods vanished out from them. Now, there's still a decent food supply for the city, but it really begins to threaten the trade networks. And I'm getting pressure from the merchant families who are involved. So right now we know that 5 warehouses have been attacked or robbed or thieved, or however you want to put it. Um, General population, the word is starting to leak out into there, but they probably don't know. I need you to look into it, figure out who is doing this, and put a stop to it. Questions?
Do you have any other details to go on? Any clues?
2 of the warehouses are owned by Lady Alyssa. She can be a pain. She's probably the one you're going to want to appease the most. 2 of them belong to House Balakine, and the last one, House Holland.
Now, when you say knocked over, do you mean like physically or metaphorically?
I mean metaphorically. The only details I have, and the reason that this has gotten run up the pole as fast as it has, is that this has happened in the last week and a half, and that the vast majority of the grain from each of these warehouses vanished overnight.
Mm-hmm. Now, it was House Balakine, and what was the other one? House
Holland.
Holland.
So I want to leave you
recognize those
guys.
houses?
Yeah, they're all 3 of them. Lady Alyssa's house, House Balakine, and House Holland are some of the major consortium players in the sort of the food and those kinds of grain goods distributions. The city you're in is Tandarsky, and the city of Tandarsky is essentially it's on the coast. 2 great rivers run out into the bay. The city itself is between those 2 rivers and has spread out far enough that it reaches over and has expanded across those. It's a city with a wide variety of neighborhoods. It's a crossroads. The grain dealers, because the interior is a somewhat hostile climate, the grain and food dealers are some of the most important. They don't perhaps generate the most cash. That would be the spice dealers that do that. But they're probably the most important to the livelihood generally of the city. So you guys have the matter put to you. How do you want to approach this? What do you want to do?
So did you start off with any fate points?
Oh, yes. So each of you will start out with 3 fate points.
3.
Oh, go ahead.
And what about a refresh?
So refresh is the number of fate points that you would start with at the beginning of each session. So that's why you would be 3.
Okay.
Players have the option, if they want to take more stunts at the start, they can take up to 2 more stunts, and each one of those reduces their refresh. That is a mug's game. So I almost never do that myself. But if I can talk players into doing it, I will do that. So what do you guys want to do? How do you want to investigate? What's your approach here?
do you think, Ajax? Maybe we go actually get our eyes onto one of these warehouses to see if we can pick up something that maybe the local guardsman didn't notice. We might be able to see something since we're trained detectives.
Yeah, that's probably the best thing.
Okay. So let me tell you the syntax if you don't already know it for Roll20. It's \roll 4df will generate the fate roll for you. And that was a terrible roll on my part. Check it. Getting that set. So, why doesn't somebody make a general lore roll for me here?
I've got average lore.
Okay. And I always use the numbers when I'm talking about stuff. I know they've got the descriptors in there, but you'll find yourself following to numbers.
\roll.
Roll 4df. Whoop, other slash, sorry. /
Oh, that's a 1.
So, you know, House Alyssa is the most potent of these houses, the most forceful, and probably the most demanding. House Balakeen, a little more reasonable, a little more socially savvy. House Holland, very old guard, high nobility. So, which warehouse set do you want to go to first?
Let's
go to Lady Alyssa first.
Yeah, okay. Put our eyes on Lady Alyssa's warehouse.
Stop at the top.
All right. So you'll go get the directions and head to some of the warehousing districts. Most of these grain warehouses, while they aren't adjacent to one another, they are in a particularly walled neighborhood. There are guard stations kind of coming in and out. It's not a place with a lot of cross traffic for the general public. It is a secured quarter of the city. So you will head in and arrive at one of these warehouses, and you'll be greeted by a manager, essentially the overseer for this particular warehouse, who seems particularly distraught, particularly overwrought at this point. He will greet you, guardsman. My name is Abnero the Jackal. How may I be of assistance to you?
We heard your your storage was knocked over. We wanted to see it.
Yes, it has been a couple of days, and actually, Lady Alyssa was here just an hour ago, looking over it again herself, and before she headed on to inspect the other warehouse. Please come with me, and he will take you inside the granary warehouse. Stone walls and sectional interior to the place to keep things dry as possible, and will bring you to sort of the great central silo, and he will open up the doors. All that dust that you get from a grain distribution and so on that sort of catches in the air, you find yourself probably coughing a little bit, and he will bring you into the central grain place, and you can see that there are some bags left around the edges of the room, and some spots where they had mounds of the grain that are just, handfuls left there. And he will leave you to it. So you guys may make investigate rolls.
And this fella leaves the room.
He will leave and wait outside for you, leaving you to your matters.
So that should be plus roll 40F plus 1?
Yep, you can put your skill roll in there too. Okay. And a 4. Okay. So you guys will be surprised by a couple of things here that will shine for you. One is that there's definitely the tracks of people having come in and looked around afterwards and been surprised. The signs and marks of the warehouse workers who opened the doors and freaked out when they saw how empty this was. But otherwise than that, you're not seeing tracks. There's no, I mean, this amount of grain to vanish as it did, it doesn't look like people came in and took it. It doesn't have that look to it. Now, one of the ways that you can handle investigations in Fate, there are a couple of things that ways you can do that. One is you can kind of give out the information. I tend to take a sort of gumshoe approach. Another way is you can follow the pattern that Apocalypse World does. One of the things I've done is essentially, if you roll well, allow the players to ask a question. To do that, one or two questions. It's a simple way to do it. So you guys have both rolled well, so I'll let you ask a question. I'll try and answer as best I can about the situation.
What do you think, Ajax? This looks pretty weird. Maybe a couple rats came in and just ate it all up.
I
Fat
don't
rats.
think that's likely. You said it didn't look. There wasn't any signs of anybody like walking in here.
Doesn't appear to be that. Yeah. For this amount of material.
Could this have been a magical heist?
Would have had to have been.
It certainly could have been a magical heist. How do you want
My question should have been, was this a magical heist?
Okay. Certainly it seems to you that some form of magic, some form of unnatural forces, the supernatural had to have occurred here for this to happen. The volume of the grain, the suddenness of its vanishing, the lack of any signs indicate that definitely some form of magic was used.
What about the locks? Is there any sign that the doors were forced open, or does it look like it was just straight up opened?
It doesn't look, in fact, if you consult with Abnero, he will tell you the locks on the outside were still intact when we came in the morning. Of course, he suspects that somebody had some sort of key and opened it and then relocked it.
Yeah. So, just to make sure, you know illusion magic, right?
Indeed, I do.
Make sure this isn't just some kind of illusion thing. I'm not going through that again.
I'm going to walk and jump through all the empty space like a clown.
Okay.
In case there's a big pile of grain there that we just don't see.
Do you wish to make a magic roll?
Sure.
Okay, go ahead and do that. Okay. So that would definitely be a success with style. So you will be very certain that there is no form of illusion, no form of chicanery in that way. They haven't moved the grain up to the ceiling and concealed it. There isn't anything like that. You will notice two sort of factors there. One is the floor itself seems super cold, much colder than it ought to be. You're a mage who works with ice, and there's certainly a chill there and in the room that feels a little unnatural to you.
Okay.
As well, it does seem that whatever happened magically here, whatever occurred, has certainly thinned the veil between this world and the other side.
I'll mention all that to Ajax.
Thinned the veil?
We can feel the other side, the kinds of things that maybe not everyone is attuned to. At some point, I'd like to chat it up with Abnero, maybe ask him why he's called the Jackal, ask him about some of his work buddies.
Okay. Do you want to, what's your intent there? Get information from him or set something up? How do you want to approach that? What's your intent?
Originally, my intent was just to try to see if we could get him to follow up with us there, maybe if he's got any more info. The kind of thing, you would just scour the neighborhood and just ask people if they saw anything out of the ordinary. Maybe I'll ask him if he saw anything out of the ordinary, or if there was somebody on duty around that, around that time period.
I was wondering if I wanted to ask also just if this was the first place that was robbed or what.
Okay. Let me come back to that in just a second. Let me do Alex's, and I'll come back to you, John. Alex, how about an empathy roll?
All right.
So, Abnero is upset. You will get him calmed down so that he's a little more rational. He'll talk about the fact that he was raised by jackals, and which goes on to a long shaggy dog story that he talks about for a while before he finally comes back around. And but you certainly will get him with the idea that he needs to have his people kind of canvas around and so on. He will say that they haven't had anything unusual show up, and the person who was on watch overnight said that he didn't see anything, and he certainly we put him to rest because he certainly seems upset and exhausted, and so we've kept an eye on him. There's some, in case he's involved with it, that kind of thing, but he's certainly worked himself into a sickness, as it were.
Probably above suspicion, you mean?
Yes, he's a cousin. Yes. And you have the sense that Abnero, despite being raised by jackals, has a large family, and everybody that he mentions seems to be related to him in some way, shape, or form here. The sense you'll get from Abnero, certainly that he's not involved, and certainly that his workforce are not involved and are upset about this. Does that seem like a reasonable answer?
Sure.
Okay. John,
Just,
oh yes.
A point of the mechanics.
Sure.
In a scene, if a person succeeds with style, isn't there something that happens?
So success with style in sort of an overcome action would be gathering more information. If there was more to gather, would hand that off. If you were doing a create an advantage. Like, let's say you were saying, okay, well, I want to, create a positive relationship with Abnero that I can call on later, then a success with style would get you 2 free invokes rather than 1.
Mm.
And we do an aspect like my friend the Jackal or something like that would be the thing that we put on the table for you to use. Or friends among the warehouse workers, something like that. Does that seem like reasonable?
Yeah.
Okay. John, you had a pretty factual question there. This is, in fact, the second warehouse. The third warehouse that was struck.
Okay. Was the first one, or where was Lady Alyssa's other one? Was that one before this one or after this one?
That one was after this one. Was the fourth one. So what do you want to do, Ajax?
Well, if we're pretty confident it wasn't anybody here, and
That's probably a good question about the order. Do you suppose that the order of the houses being struck? Let's just not get into the details of the numbering, but is there a pattern, like maybe a geographical pattern?
yeah.
So find a map of the area and try and sketch that out.
Yeah.
That seems reasonable. Do you want to make that roll, John?
Sure.
Okay.
I have no idea what that would be, though.
Well, let's look at this. So we're trying to analyze. It's actually trying to analyze some clues there. So I think that'll be an investigate roll.
Okay. A mighty 2.
Mighty 2. All of them fall here in this warehouse district. And they do seem to be in a kind of a half circle, as it were. With
And are there other locations that weren't hit in that same half circle area?
Yes. It looks like there are 2 other warehouses that, if you were going to kind of read and look for just grain warehouses along, there are 2 others that were not hit.
Who do they belong to?
They belong to House Corpus.
So we could either assume that House Corpus is going to be the next one to be hit, and we should go, like, stake out that area, or we could assume House Corpus is behind the thievery and check their warehouses to see if they're holding an excess.
What do you want to do?
We can ask Abnero rivalry with House Corpus.
Sure, he seems to be your friend. Go ahead.
You ask Abnero, and Abnero will go, no, not with Corpus. They're that's not how they operate. They are. He kind of purses his lips and makes a face. They do charity work.
Charity work?
They give, they tithe and such, and they're not rivals. They undercut us sometimes, and they certainly make the rest of us look bad. What do you guys want to do?
All right, Abnero, I think thank you. You've been very helpful.
Oh, yes. And he said, if you run into Lady Alyssa, I suggest that you tell her that you're working hard on the case. She certainly has spent some time investigating and berating us for our failings. So it would be excellent if you were able to solve this matter. It would be good. and he
Be on our way.
will bow and allow you to depart. You'll head out into the morning sun there, mid-morning here, heat coming down, stone streets, uh, uh, whitewashed walls there. Where do you want to go?
I imagine if we go look at another warehouse, it'll be we'll find similar things. If we want to be thorough, I guess we would go to see whether the floor is super cold there also. I imagine we'll probably find the same kind of clues. But at the very least,
Well,
maybe we could...
that seems like something that we can hand wave here very quickly if you want to say that you spend another hour being thorough and checking that. Does that seem reasonable?
Sure.
Okay.
And we found the same clues and everything.
A quick check will confirm the same state at the other 4 warehouses, the same lack of tracks. Definitively the most recent warehouse that was robbed, the floor is colder than it is at, say, the first warehouse.
Makes sense. So...
And there's sort of a general atmosphere of panic. People among the warehouses are certainly worried, but they're still trying to keep things quiet, all of that kind of stuff. They will say they have to be careful because, you know, there are a lot of people who would take advantage of that.
I think it's fairly obvious we're dealing with somebody that made a giant slide out of ice to...
We still have time in the day to do some more stuff, but at some point maybe we could set up a stakeout, maybe at one of the grain warehouses of House Corpus. Maybe we'll catch this something in the act.
And have they all been similar, where it happened, seemed to have just disappeared overnight?
Yes. All of them share that same sort of overnight vanishing. Why don't you make one of you make an investigation roll?
I've got it at +3.
Okay.
Yeah, you can do that one then.
The other detail that will strike you in the midst of, I mean, you're getting a lot of information, checking each of these places, things like that, talking to people, getting stories, doing that canvassing. In a movie, this would be a montage, you know, of you guys talking to people, flipping your little notebooks over and moving on there with the Law and Order sound in between scenes. Is that in each of the cases, the watchman who was on duty is kind of upset, and in each case the watchman on duty is apparently quite ill right now.
It's quite ill.
Yes.
Let's go chat with one.
Okay.
Yeah.
The earliest one, most recent one, which one?
The most recent one.
Okay. This happened just last night, so they probably got this guy in a side room, and when you go in to talk to him, his name is Leather, and he is clearly shaken and upset and kind of pale and sweaty. And he will look up, and now he sees the city guard have come in, so he gets even more tense.
I'm going to try to make him feel more relaxed.
Okay.
Like we're just here to try to help get to the bottom of this. We're not here because we think you're involved. We want to get to the bottom of this at the very least. Yeah.
Okay. Why don't you make a rapport roll?
To the bottom of it. This way. Yep. I have that at +2.
You guys we'll play a little bit of good cop, bad cop there, you know, and get him calmed down, and he will get in a state where he really wants to answer your questions. He really wants to help you as much as he can, and he's like, what can I tell you?
When did you get sick?
I'm so upset, and I'm just very tired and not feeling well after this. I mean, you can understand. I'm certainly going to be blamed for it. I don't know if I'm sick per se.
You haven't spent any time in the cold recently?
No, the room was very cold when we went in this morning.
And how long have you worked there?
Oh, it has been 6 years since I was hired on.
And you're
Did you notice
fairly
anybody
regular
around
there?
that you...
What?
Did you notice anybody?
No, I saw nothing. Nothing. I was awake and alert and walking around last night.
Really?
Doesn't seem like he's being entirely genuine in that comment.
The entire time?
You guys had a 3 with the rapport that will kind of break through his resolve, and he will say, "Well, you understand, we're here when the day ends. I come in here and I am alone in the warehouse, and I wander and I wait and I burn the candle that is given to me, and from time to time I sit and I perhaps sleep
Fall
a
asleep.
little from time to time, but I did not. I mean, I did some last night, but not much. Something kept me. It were nightmares I had.
Hmm.
What kind of nightmares?
I saw. There was figures in my dreams last night, and I knew some of them. That, but not people that I should see, and so they were around and about. Will you take my meeting?
What do you mean by people that he shouldn't see?
I saw friends, but dead friends.
Hmm.
The friends that have died, that passed.
That sounds awful.
Yes. When I woke, I paced the rest of the night, and I was my. It certainly threw me off, and when the doors were open this morning and there was no grain, it merely agitated me further. And he will kind of sit back. He looks exhausted. That clearly the memories of those nightmares has affected him.
Kind of don't want to do a stakeout now. I guess it's a sidebar with Ajax. I'm just going to say this is really beyond our expertise.
There's got to be some kind of association with this guy falling asleep, the dream and the things going, and I don't know. You should know magic stuff. It's not what I'm here for.
It's typical night guard. It's possible that they all just fall asleep at night.
It does seem we're walking around these big empty buildings. It does seem like guardsmen here would have a hard time remaining awake throughout their watch.
Mm-hmm.
I guess is it a thing in this world, like psychics or necromancers? Is it a normal thing?
Well, we'll
Is there some
assume
authority we can go talk to?
someone to speak with about the unnatural or the undead.
Yeah.
Or do I have any contacts I could ask about this kind of about the robberies?
Okay, well let's take sort of two different tacks here. You guys are both kind of tapping into your information networks, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's start with Alex's question, and have you make I think it's going to be a context roll.
Okay. So I'll just be rolling +0.
Yep. Okay. So a 2. So actually, you will ask around again. Spirits, ghosts, necromancy, these things are a little outside your purview, a little outside your range of knowledge as a mage. But you will go and speak with someone who is associated with one of the faiths, who will, ask you. So what is it that you're seeing? What is it that might be unnatural here?
We feel like we're going to tell them that we can't go into details, but we're investigating situations where the veil between the worlds has become thin, and there's possible evidence that people are at the very least experiencing that. And maybe it's not literally that someone's actually witnessing, even subconsciously, the apparitions of ghosts from friends in the past, but at the very least they're experiencing something that makes them attuned to it. Is there anything you can tell us about that, or have you yourself felt anything in recent days more than normal?
Well, we're here in the Temple District. I haven't picked up anything particularly. If it is a vision, they may be receiving some word from their faith, but you're thinking this is some sort of supernatural event that's being directed or something?
Exactly.
Well, I will say this: most hauntings are localized, and they come from place, and there's usually evidence and ties earlier on. If someone is moving spirits about, that is generally the act of a necromancer or someone with spiritual power. So I would be cautious on that if it's being directed. That's probably what I can tell you about it. I can certainly send for one of the Templar exorcists, but it might be 4 or 5 days before they would be able to come down from the watchtowers.
And there's no official presence. I mean, like we assume that in the Temple District or anywhere in this town or city, there's no like guild of necromancers or something. This is if there were such a thing, it would be.
No, there's the Mortui, but they're in the various district graveyards, and they're not really spirit directed. They handle the burials and graveyards in particular places, the places that are set aside for that now. But they're not necromancers, and they're not. They may commune with spirits. Does that answer your question, Master Larold?
Do you have anything to follow up with him, Ajax?
I don't think it's spirits. I just think it's some kind of magic. I don't know.
I guess as part of being thorough, can we also handwave visiting some of the other guards and see if they have the same thing, or if it was just this one guy, Leather?
Sure, and they will be confirmatory. And actually, as you go back, the further back in the past to the first one, they seem to be, those nightmares seem to be staying with them, and they do seem to be getting sicker from that. Now, Ajax, you wanted to talk with your contacts in the underworld?
Yeah, just to see if anybody knew of the grain going missing.
Sure. Why don't you make a contacts roll?
Sure. That's +2. Oh, joy.
Now, would you like to tag one of your aspects and invoke one of those, spend a fate point?
Sure. So spend a fate point and...
What do you want to hit?
You're a veteran of the arena, maybe.
Yeah, I was gonna. Veteran of the arena is probably the easy one to tag.
Okay. So you'll talk. So do you want to reroll, or do you want to do just straight +2?
I'll try the reroll.
Okay.
Gambler.
I know it's probably the worst option, but let's go for it anyways.
There's some equation, isn't there?
Yeah. Oh, well, no, that's quite good. You will get a couple of pieces of information. One of the things is not a lot of gladiators around, except for the people who are sort of the hired muscle for guarding caravans and stuff. And they will tell you that the various grain guild people are kind of closing ranks to make it so that it isn't out in the general public that this is going on. They don't want to start a panic, that kind of thing. So that's one thing, is that clearly there's still some alliance between them. They will say the Great Guild is tight because that district they just cleared just a few years ago and built all those warehouses there that the grain vendors essentially managed to get the approval of the Imperiat to take over this district. So there is a lot of money and a lot of wealth there. And the sense you get is as well that the Thieves Guild is very interested in what has happened, and they want to know what's happened because they weren't involved. And in fact, they probably have one or two of their people out trying to figure it out as well. Essentially, criminal investigators trying to see if there's some sort of other organization at work here.
So there hasn't been any like large exporting grain undercover or anything like that.
No, that's the thing is this grain is going missing, and it's not turning up. It's not turning up in the markets, and this is where else would you put this? That seems to be the general talk. I mean, unless somebody's dumping it in the river or something, it's just where is it going? So I'll assume that you guys will meet up again as evening has fallen, having tracked down your various things. It's been a long day, been hitting the streets. What do you want to do?
Well, I unfortunately think our best shot is probably watching one of the Corpus storage facilities, grain silos.
All right.
Try and
we could hit up our boss, see if we can get some footpads or patrol folks.
Sure, they can send some slack-jawed guardsmen around to assist you.
wonderful.
So let's say that's a pretty easy thing to do. So let's say that you have another 6 guys who can kind of keep watch badly in various spots. But they can certainly. Do you want them walking around on patrol, or do you want them watching a particular area?
3 on one location and 3 on the other.
Okay. And are you guys keeping an eye on one of them?
You think we should split up?
Yeah. Or
Okay.
I don't know. We really don't have a way to get in contact with each other. So
Police radio?
Let's assume that you guys stick together just for narrative's sake.
let's put all 6 of the guys on one, and we'll watch the other one.
Okay. So after dark, after the lights dim, and this is not an area with a lot of nightlife. When the grain merchants and the other ones took over this area, they pretty much bulldozed anything that would have been local here. So there's no real nightlife or bar life or anything like that. But you guys will see after dark, you will see a couple of people approach the grain warehouse, and you will see they're acting perhaps a little bit suspicious, hoods up, that kind of thing. And you will see them knock, see the door of the warehouse open, and they are let in. And this happens 3 or 4 times. 3 or 4 other people arrive.
They all go in, nobody comes out?
They all go in, nobody comes out.
Is there any way we can
observe
what's happening in the window?
So the grain warehouses probably aren't windowed. They probably have some roof access to allow them to vent so they don't have any kind of explosion from the particulates. So it would probably take a kind of a climbing check to get up there, is one way, or breaking in and sneaking around is another way. How do you guys want to approach this?
I think breaking in is probably the easier way. Yeah,
I guess what we're getting at is that these guys could just be like the secret meeting of the local whatever. Could also be the secret meeting of the local cult or something.
Is there I don't know, could I do like a notice roll to see, like, are they using like a special knock to get in or anything like that?
Oh, sure. Make a notice roll for me.
Um,
You're a little ways away, out of sight. You're trying to spot in case there's some signal that they're doing.
straight up 2.
Straight up 2. It does seem like they are giving a very basic secret knock. Essentially, 2 taps, pause, and then a 1 tap.
Let me see. There was a notice stunt.
Danger sense, body language reader.
No, never mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
In general, aren't stunts the kind of thing that we needed to have chosen up front?
Well, that's one of the things. You can choose them up front, or you can let players pick them over the course of play.
Gotcha.
Especially with a one shot, that's an easy way for the players to kind of pick and customize their character.
Right.
So let's go up and try the knock.
Yeah,
Okay.
if we could do it, we could probably even do it in combination with. I could throw some slight illusion after the knock in case we need to have the doorman distracted.
Make yourself look like a hooded guy, or
Right.
Well, let's have that. Let's have you make that magic roll to kind of set a simple illusion disguise on yourself and your comrade there. Okay. So 3. So you're able to get. I mean, you've seen these people. They're in hoods and cloaks on. You're able to get yourself so you can steal, so your features are hidden. You guys will move up, and you'll do the secret knock, and the door will open, and you'll see an older, better dressed gentleman answers, clearly not like the watchman type, and he will go, oh, you're, well, I thought the last ones were the last. Please come in. He'll gesture for you to come in.
walk in.
Okay, and he'll say, "We are just about to start. What are your names?"
I'm John.
John.
Bill.
Bill. Well, come in. And he will take you into another section of this place, and you will see that these warehouses here are a little bit more decorated than perhaps in the other warehouses you've been in, and you will see come into a room, and you will see some chairs, and they've got candles set up, and you'll see a set of people that have books, and it does look like a cult meeting.
Oh, they did say these were like charity guys.
He'll say, "Come in, sit down. Get down, sit down."
See what they're up to.
And he gestures because we have grape juice and unleavened crackers if you're hungry.
You're very kind.
Oh, thank you. And he will sit down in his chair, and he will say, "It's good to have you. We have 2 new guests with us this evening." And he'll introduce John and Bill, and everyone will go, "Hi, John. Hi, Bill." And he will say, "Well, tonight we're going to read through the manuscripts, and we're going to talk about the word and how to answer the charges that are sometimes brought against us, and speak the peace that comes with the great darkness when Morgoth returns and swallows the souls of everyone in the world, and how we shall be there to make all the world fat and ready and peaceable, so that they are given to Morgoth, and so Morgoth is appeased before our souls are taken." So let's read from the book. Shall we sing a hymn to start? And they'll flip open the books, and
Sure is a shame what's happening to those other silos, right? Because, people aren't getting enough stuff to become fat, and yeah.
So what's your goal here, Bill?
Just to try and get them talking.
Okay. So do you want to interrupt the meeting, or do you want to wait until the juice break at the midsection?
I'm trying to get to say something before they get into reading the scripture.
Oh, okay. So a little more difficult here because you're going to kind of try and break in and trying to maintain character. Let's see. What do you think is the better way to do this? So
Nothing
rapport
I
is
got.
about making positive connection, but deceive is about misdirecting. I'm going to say this is going to be a deceive roll.
Anyway, yeah, I'm gonna spend.
Spend another fate point.
I'm gonna say, yeah, this is a pure act of survival. um, no, surprisingly cultured. I've ran into people like this because they're very protective of artifacts and things like that.
Okay. So you're gonna do a reroll?
I'm gonna do a reroll.
Okay.
Because I don't think a -1's gonna do it for us either.
Yep.
Shoot.
So you'll kind of start to kind of want to interrupt and draw that. Now, you could ask that question and get an answer, but you might be found out, or you could just kind of let it pass. What's your choice here?
I'll just let it pass.
Okay. So
John is going to slowly inch away from Bill, move his seat over.
Okay. Kind of spread a little bit, and they will sing "Oh, What a Friend We Have in Morgoth" and various songs like that about the great, one of the great sort of evil overlord gods, and they seem to have a very interesting philosophy. This will go on for probably a half hour before they'll break for juice, and they'll mingle a little bit. So, Lerald, what do you want to do?
Spread around and maybe chat with some of the other folks
Okay.
who are there. I almost feel like these people deserve to be burgled, but let's hold off. Save that for later.
Why don't you make? You sure you're trying to establish a positive relationship, or are you trying to get information?
Establish a positive relationship.
That'll be a rapport roll. So look at that. So you will talk with these people. They seem like they're fairly cultured, and
you're gonna get us stuck here another hour.
You will get.
I think Bill wants to get thrown
out. You will get essentially the aspect friend of Morgoth as an aspect that you can invoke later on, and you have 2 free invokes because you succeeded with style. So Ajax, you'll watch and you'll see Lerald very much starts talking with people, eats the crackers even though they're disgusting and dry, and wanders and talks about the hymnals and things. And he seems to be getting along well with everyone and building up a connection. What do you want to do during this intermission, Ajax?
Oh, I gotta hit the head.
You better come back.
Yeah. I'll.
Want to excuse yourself?
Yes.
Okay.
Restroom's over here, right?
Okay, so you can make your way out of there during the break there. What do you want to do?
Just try and look at where they're, if they have if their stores are visible in this area.
Okay. Why don't you make a simple... This just looks like a notice roll for me.
Okay. Oh, sweet, it does it.
Their grain stores look intact. Doesn't look like they've been attached. The one thing you will notice is that they very clearly do have around and about various religious markers on doors and windows and all of that kind of thing. It very much does seem like while they're disguised Morgothian holy symbols, they do look like they've got that sort of, set up and established around the place.
Maybe it's repelling whatever's happening to the other places.
Possibly.
You guys will return. You will return back, I assume.
Yeah.
Okay. There's another hour of this that goes on, and then the meeting will break up. People are milling around before they head out. Is there anything you guys want to do before they do?
Grab some more crackers.
Okay. Put those in your pocket.
Yeah. Kind of good.
What about you,
We
Ajax?
came up a good clue, Ajax, but I'm not sure that these folks are going to be either victims or on the suspect list.
You don't think they're either?
Unless they feel like they need to fatten up their flock for Morgoth to arrive.
Isn't that kind of their whole deal? It's kind of what I got. I stopped listening after that.
Follow one of their higher leaders around, see what he's up to.
I'll tell you about the markings on the storage.
If they're on the suspect list, then that clue probably doesn't even make any sense. And they wouldn't care to have to repel anything if they're the ones calling the whatever's happening.
Yeah, it could be.
So the meeting will break up. People will head out. What do you want to do?
Check up on our 6 compatriots and see if they had any interesting things happen.
Let's see how the Slackjaws have fared here.
They've all been converted to Morgoth.
So you'll head over to check on the Slackjaws. They're generally still awake and aware. They'll say they haven't seen anything going on. They've just seen, the rag pickers and street cleaners gone by, but that's about it. That kind of thing.
No guys in hoods?
No guys in hoods. No.
Maybe we should check to see if this particular silo also has the Morgothian symbols.
Sure.
All right. So you guys want to break in here?
Can we just go in an official capacity?
Up to you.
Let's go up and
Just
try the
knock on the
secret
door?
knock first.
Yeah. You'll go up and do the secret knock. You won't get any response.
Maybe there's no one here.
Yeah.
I guess it doesn't make any, it probably makes sense that if they had a meeting, it would just be at that one place.
True.
What do you guys want to do?
Open the door.
Okay. why don't you make a burglary roll for me?
Ajax, you got Laryl, you
Oh.
got magic to do that, right?
I actually do have the burgle skill.
Okay. So you will get the door open and a ways in, kind of go, and it's pretty cold in here. That's probably the immediate thing that you will notice.
Like we're on something, Ajax.
Yeah.
You guys want to move in?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to have both of you make stealth rolls for me.
Well, this will go awfully.
So let me... I'm going to actually, before you make that stealth roll, let me establish some scene aspects here. So these will be the 3 scene aspects. So these are 3 aspects we're going to put on this the environment: darkened halls, crates and bags, and chilly atmosphere.
What was it? Darkened
Darkened halls.
Did you write that somewhere?
Yeah, it should be on the Roll20 screen there if you put that on there. Is that showing up?
Okay, I see it there. It's just
I see it.
behind my...
Yeah, we got too many windows, I'm sorry.
Darkened
So-
halls, bags, and chilly atmosphere.
So with the darkened halls, I wonder, could mechanically
I want to tag that one.
help because they're darkened halls?
Yeah.
Well, so you get 1 free invoke that you can use for one of you can use for your stealth. So let's have you guys make your stealth checks. Okay. All right. So you guys you get a free invoke off of each of these. Sorry, 1 free invoke off of each of these scene aspects if you want to invoke one of those.
I guess I could bring my -2
Sure, I'll
up to
take-
0. Or you could take
Okay.
your 0 up to 2. But I guess it doesn't help if I'm... Well, maybe you could run into the shadows and I could be, if there's something that we're actually trying to hide from.
You can
could
do
help.
one
Okay.
here. I'll take the darkened halls because I think I'm down to one fate point now.
So you'll tag that. All right. So essentially, we'll get that. That has been used. So this is what I generally kind of do that just so that that's been used. What about you, Larold?
Are our 6 guys still around?
I assume that they are out in the streets while you're burglarizing.
We're not burglarizing. We're investigating.
Yeah. We're
Completely
detectivizing.
official. We're protecting and something. Maybe not protect and serve, but close enough.
If there are crates and bags around, maybe
Hide
if I
behind
do
those?
make a noise, it can be written off as something else. Hide behind it, and it'll just be like a random noise of the night.
Okay. Do you want to use it as a reroll or as a +2?
What do you think, Ajax? 0 or reroll?
I always prefer gambling.
Gambling it is.
There's a reason I owe a lot of money.
Same
See?
ditto.
Same thing.
All right. So I'm going to set up a scene here. Okay. And I draw something out here. And let's freehand draw shape. All right. So,
do you have a Roll20 account, or is this all the all free stuff?
it's mostly free stuff. I did get the Roll20 account, and I quite like it. So this is a section here, and I'm going to kind of use another color to do some zones. So I've done a lighter color to kind of break some of these sections up. And I'm going to put, let's see, I'm going to put a couple of tokens on the board to represent you guys. Let's see here. Let me grab those. So this guy I will put in for Ajax, and then let's see, do we have a good wizard? Oh, here's a classic wizardy type. And there's Lerald. Okay.
Looks just like me.
Okay. And he's got a buddy with him. And we go quickly. Copy. Paste. Paste.
That doesn't look good.
So you guys will come around, and Lerald, you kind of are coming around the crates there, and there is that thing where as you're moving, you will actually step, and one of the bags on the top of this thing will fall off and smash to the ground as you kind of peek up over this, and you will see that there's a guy in robes, the robes of the evil cultist looking type thing. You see he has some sort of orcish bodyguard, but your attention is more drawn to these ghostly figures that I'm tagging that are essentially, looks like ghosts carrying bags of grain that are also ghostly into the silo here. So, Lerald, what is your notice skill?
Let's see. Yeah, I lost my character sheet.
Okay.
Where could it be? Here it is. Notice is +3.
Okay, Ajax, what's your notice?
+2.
+2. Okay.
We notice things.
Okay. So what they do is generally they put initiative as notice skill order. There, you can do that any which way. I'm just going to go with it because it's the basic system. So this has occurred, and you have definitely been spotted by the cultist person over there, Lerald. What do you want to do?
What do you think, Ajax? What's our procedure? As policemen, I think we've caught these guys red-handed.
So the cultists in the evil robes, is that like more Gothian robes, or?
It does look a little bit like that. He seems to be, and he certainly does seem to be directing the spirits.
I think we should holler for our guys to back us up.
Could, but they're probably worthless.
Well, if you want to holler for them, essentially what I would allow you to do is essentially call for them as backup, and they would form an aspect. I'd have you roll, and we'll see whether you get 1 or 2 free invokes with that. How's that sound?
Sure. Good idea.
Okay. Let's have you make a rapport roll to see how nice they think you are and whether they're going to actually come and run to your assistance. Okay. Okay, you have 2 free invokes of Gang of Slackjaws, okay, to use for this scene, all right? We don't put them on the board. They're just a group of mooks, essentially, that are there for you to invoke. There are a couple of ways we could do that. Another way would be to do them as a mob character, but for the purpose of this, I'm going to keep that simple. Okay, so the next person to go is Ajax and then our cultist guy. What do you want to do, Ajax?
And we've been seen, right?
You haven't been seen, but Lerald has been.
Okay. Well, sneaking is not exactly my forte.
Okay.
But I'm gonna try and go over to the side where the robed guy is.
Okay. So you can move 1 zone and stealth. Why don't you make that stealth roll for me?
Sure.
Sticking with that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. He will notice you. So you will
That's fine.
move over into this zone, and the rogue guy will notice you. And he will, let's see, he doesn't know who is who yet, so he will stay there, and he is going to fire a bolt of darkness at you, Ajax. So you will use athletics to resist this.
Oh, okay. Athletics is +3.
Okay. Ooh, I rolled well.
And I didn't.
So the margin of success that he got on you is 3 points. So you need to deal with those 3. You can mark off one of your stress boxes, the 3 box, for example. Or you could mark off a lower value box and take a consequence. You could mark off, say, a 1 box and then take a 2-point consequence.
I'll do that.
Okay. So you'll check off the 1. And what do you want? How do you want to describe your minor consequence that you have?
What does the dark bolt do to me?
It's cold. It is just chilly, icy cold when it hits you.
I'm not sure.
Stiffened up, frostbite.
Frostbite.
Okay. So I'm putting that on your character little section up there. So that is a aspect when he does the wound to 2 point. That's the only sort of 2-point consequence that you can take. Now next you have to take a 4 or a 6, and it can be invoked against you.
Okay.
So he did that. He didn't direct the spirits this round. So the
and that's a -2 to my roll. You said it's a 2, a 4, or 6.
So what it is you take a 2-point consequence. It reduces the damage that you took by 2 points. And then it's an aspect that the bad guys can invoke once freely against you.
Yeah. Okay, but it just works like any other aspect?
Yep. The difference between the levels of aspects, the moderate and the severe, is that moderate ones are after a scene are very hard to clear. And severe ones, they can invoke against you repeatedly for free. All right, I'm going to roll for this. Okay. While he doesn't get to attack, the orc will run over here. You'll see him charge across, dash over with this big axe. He doesn't quite close the gap to you, Larold. Your action, Larold.
I was going to.
And actually, let me kind of go back a moment. One of the things I want to say, one of the things you could have done for your defense roll is you could have certainly invoked Gang of Slackjaws for a bonus and thrown them in the way to reduce your damage. But keep that in mind for later.
Okay.
Larold.
Let's just straight up react like I would if there were a big green guy coming at me.
Okay.
And fire up a fiery ball of death.
All right. So this is your fire as an attack action.
Yes.
Roll it using your magic skill. He defends using athletics. So you will beat him by 2. Now, do you want to tag anything to boost that up?
How about it's a chilly atmosphere in here, and used to it, and so the fire is going to be even hotter. It's going to feel extra hot to him.
Okay. So we'll use that up. So you'll boost that by 2, so it'll be 8. So he'll take a 4-point. So I will take my 2 box on him, and I will take a let's see here, scorched face. Essentially, as you send the fire and hit him, and he has that can be invoked once freely against him, and it will hit him, and he will stagger back from that shot. It is your turn, Ajax.
Well, now I'm going to just run and leap over the crates at the cleric guy or the robed figure.
So it would be adjacent zone because of that. Sort of. You're going to have to make a really good athletics roll.
Sure. I'm due some good dice rolls, so why not?
You are.
Nope, not that time.
So you will get into the zone with him, is what will happen on that, okay? Such as you make the move, jump over that, and get into that zone. His action, he will command the spirits. So this guy will move over here, this guy will move up, and this guy will move up here. So one of these ghostly figures is going to attempt to grab you. You may defend with fight or athletics. Which do you want to do?
Fight.
Okay. I am rolling like dynamite tonight. This is not usually the way of my fate dice, so. Okay, so that's a tie. So you are able to resist him, but essentially he has a boost, which means that he gets an aspect he can use only and he can only use it on the following attack if he's still around. Essentially,
Okay.
he'll have a +2 if he's still around on the next round to be able to attack you. Okay.
Yep.
That's what works with the attack defend ties. That guy just moved. That guy just moved. He commanded that. So the orc guy is going to attempt to hit you. What are you going to use for defense there, Magic Man?
Can I put up a fire shield and use fire?
Do you have fire as a defense thing? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So go ahead and roll your magic as a defend.
It's kind of neat.
Oh. So you will beat him, and you're going to beat him with style. I always forget this, so I have to look this up here. I believe when you defend with style, you get a boost against him.
Style is 3 better?
Yeah, it's 3 better, yeah. Yes. So you have on your next attack against him on your following round, you get a boost, essentially a +2 you can use against him. And in fact, it is that time that we're back up at the top of the round. He swings his axe, tries to hit you. You'll bring that fire up. He's already got his face sort of scorched, and he kind of flinches back from the heat and exposes himself. What do you want to do?
Really want to put this guy down.
Okay.
Is this actually an orc, like a green-skinned monster?
Yes, it is.
What other things do I have? How about if we use ice to attack him now?
Okay. Switching it up. So let's talk about the advantages you have. You're going to have a boost, which means you can get a free reroll or a free +2. He also has a wound aspect on him that you can invoke once for free. So you've got a couple of different things you can use. So go ahead and make your ice attack roll, and I will roll his defense.
So I see that he's got a scorched face, and I really want to take advantage of this. So I reach out with my icy cold touch, and as I'm about to attack him in his main area, I figure I'm just going to go for the head.
Okay.
So I'm going to grab his scorched face.
So you'll invoke that. So that'll give you +2. Plus you've got the boost is another +2. So your margin of success is going to be 4 on him. So I'm going to mark off his 1 box, and I'm going to take his other consequence, and essentially you will reach up, and you will grab him, and you will actually freeze one of his eyes.
Yes.
Where it kind of, you see it kind of expand in his head, and he will pull back screaming. So he has that wound on him right now, his frozen eye, and he is really badly hurt. And we come to Ajax.
Okay. I don't even know if I can do anything to the ghost, so I'm going to try and tell the slack jaws to get the ghost off me, and I'm going to swing at the robed guy.
Okay. So this will be fight versus his. Let's see. He's going to try and use his magic against this. You see him call up a sign of darkness.
And would that be like tagging the thing, or can I?
So you want to.
Well, I guess I don't even know if I have to yet.
Yeah,
right?
You roll first.
Okay.
So you get a 5. Now you could.
And I have the boost from last time.
No,
Because we.
the ghost has a boost on you.
Oh, the ghost. Okay.
Yeah. Now you could invoke the Slackjaws to assist you in the attack, essentially as they come and help do that, and use up one of those invokes to boost that up if you wanted.
Sure.
Okay. So essentially you call them over, and the group of them will come running over. They get in the way and kind of, they've got their sticks and swords out, and they essentially draw off some of his guard, and you will. What are you using as weapon?
Sword.
Okay, you will just put the pointy
sword.
end into him, and he will cry out from that and take one of his wound boxes there. Let's see. He will command the spirits again. I am going to. So this group of spirits over here is essentially going to move over and engage the Slackjaws and finish off that other free invoke. And then this ghost is going to attempt to hit you, sir. So I've got a 3. You may defend with fight, Ajax. Oh, sorry, 5. Because of the boost. So
5.
So again, he still has the boost on you. You can feel he is corporeal. He's come solid, and he's essentially clearly trying to touch you, to bring the nightmares to you, to drain the life force from you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This guy will move over and attempt to grab onto you, Laryl. What are you going to defend with?
I would like to defend with a fire shield, please.
Okay. So I've got a 1, so I need you to roll really low. Okay. You will. He comes to grab at you to drain your life force. You will bring the fire shield up and block him. You've got 2 guys on you. The orc is on his last legs, but now you've got this ghost form that, and imagine that these guys represent like a group of them that are kind of coming up ghostly to grab at you. What do you want to do?
What do you think, Ajax? Do you think this robed guy is the kind of thing who he's directing these spirits and they're going to do what he says, and or do you think if he goes down, they'll go away? Maybe I should try to disengage and head over in your direction.
What do you think, Ajax? He may be.
I'm sorry. What was that? I lost.
Trying to figure out if this robed guy is the type of conjurer who just controls the spirits, and or if he's the type of conjurer who gets distracted, or if he goes down, that the spirits will then just completely go away. If that's the case, maybe I should try to disengage from my zone and head over in your direction.
That's kind of what I was hoping. Was if I take him out, the spirits will go away. But I don't know. You still got the orc in your face.
Yeah, and he's on his last legs. I could probably do something.
Yeah, try and take him out first, because then you'll probably need to save my life.
Okay. So let me do that then. I'll just use.
Not that I'd ever actually need any help.
Right.
Of course not. So maybe like a 1-2 punch. I've been going fire and ice. Keep him off his feet with. Go back to fire now.
Okay. He still has the wound tag of the frozen eye on him. Go ahead and here's his. He has a 3 for his defense. So I assume you want to tag the wound?
Yep.
Okay. He will take his last wound box. He is still up, but it looks like he is just staggering around. Ajax.
Yep.
What do you want to do?
All right. Yeah. Like I said, sticking with the assumption that taking this guy out will get rid of the ghosts.
Okay.
Just taking another swing at the robed guy.
Okay. Straight fight roll.
Yep.
Now, don't forget you also have one more fate point to invoke.
And I guess as a veteran of the arena, I'm going to invoke that point.
Okay.
For an extra +2.
He will take that. He is also on his last leg, staggering back away from you. It looks like he's now trying to consider how he can get out of here after that poke.
You can't run.
Let's see here. So his action, he will kind of make to move into the next zone. Go ahead and make an athletics roll for me. So he will be able to get past you into this zone, and he will command this set of ghosts, and they are going to attempt to essentially hold you in place rather than any kind of attack. Essentially, he's commanding them to create an advantage, essentially, of held in place. So you can resist with fight against that.
Okay. Hey, that's actually good.
Yeah. So they come in, they go to move to try and close you down and bring you in. You will swing that sword around and drive them back. They're not able to put that aspect on you. You will bring this guy over here as a helper, and that guy will attack. Ugh. I need you to roll low again for me, Harold, for your defend.
Sorry to
Oh,
disappoint.
yeah. So you've got a boost on him. All right. Larold, it is top of the next round.
Let's put these guys down.
Oh, wait, hang on. I'm sorry. Let me come back. I forgot to do your action, Ajax. Do you want to follow Ajax, or do you want to move over to the orc? What do you want to do?
I'm going to follow.
Okay.
So, athletics?
Simple athletics check there, because you've already driven them off. You just need a positive success to move to the next zone, so you're good. You can make an attack if you wish.
Yeah.
Ugh. That wasn't good. I will spend... Whoa.
Oops, wrong thing. Did D3 instead of DF.
I will tag my cultist master to boost that up to that's only a 3. So you still beat him apart, and he will drop. And you will see the spirits begin to dissipate when that happens.
Nice. Keen.
Larold.
Larold is yelling that you're not the only one who can deal with cold, so can I. Hi.
You've got a 4. I've got a 3. That is just enough because he has no more consequences and no more wound boxes. So you will reach up and hit him with that ice, and he will crumple to the ground. Just drop. And goes out. Oh. John, can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can still hear you.
Okay. Can you hear me now? So weird. I hate audio issues.
He said he switched headsets earlier. Maybe something happened to it.
Yeah.
I can hear you now. Can you hear?
Oh, good.
Can you hear me?
So you guys will get the slack jaws in.
Yay.
You'll see the various ghosts who are loading things. It looks actually like what they've got there is kind of a portal to the ghost world that they're stacking and storing grain over there. So you guys will be able to wrap that up and track down the rest of these Morgothian cultists and bring them to justice. Seem reasonable?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
By the way, your crackers suck.
That's the tagline for the episode. Questions? We did that very quick and dirty there, so...
Yeah.
Movement between zones, there's nothing more mechanical than just a single zone is just... you can just do that for free.
So what they generally say is if there's no real obstructions or difficulties, you can move into adjacent zone for free. If you want to move further than that, you can do an athletics check. Again, if it's unhindered. If it's difficult, if the terrain is rough, there's boxes, all kinds of stuff, then you have to make an athletics check to get over there. But otherwise, it's the zone movement is pretty simple.
And then I lost what happened at the end of the orc encounter. Did he just basically run out of boxes to check?
So he had already checked all his wound boxes, and he had used both his consequences. So any damage he took then, he couldn't absorb it, so he was taken out at that point.
Okay.
I defined the wizard as not wanting to take consequences because he's kind of fragile, so that's his deal.
Mm.
And so to tell you one of the things is, so as a GM, in any particular scene, you get 2 fate points per player that you can use.
Per player?
Per player. I generally tend to be pretty conservative about using those. But that's the sort of general rule.
You were rolling so good you didn't need them.
Oh, I know, I was crazy rolling there. The last 2 times I've run Fate Online, I don't think I've rolled above a 1 in any of those games. So this was a refreshing moment for me. If you guys have other questions about this, feel free to send them on to me. I'm going to do a Jade Punk session in February because I want to try and work through all those various games that try and emulate Wushu, and so I'm going to try. That's going to be the first one I'm going to try in
like
February.
An Oriental Adventures kind of thing.
Yeah, a Jade Punk is actually it's more like Legend of Korra. It's kind of a steampunk martial arts world.
Okay.
And it uses a version of Fate, Fate Accelerated to do its stuff. It's pretty cool. Thank you guys for doing this. I appreciate your coming out here late on a Saturday night, at least late for me in my time zone. And again, if you have any questions or anything you want to follow up with me on, just send me an email or send me a geek mail. Either way. All right?
I'm great. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thank you guys. Talk to you guys later.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.